So I'm gonna do the following here. I'm gonna have a machine 1. So I'm gonna call this as node 1, and there's gonna be machine 2. So I'm gonna call node 2 here. So now our job is to create a Elasticsearch cluster by trying to use both the node into a single entity. So this is the our objective we wanted to create over here. So in order to create any cluster for that matter, you need to satisfy 3 to 5 best practices or requirement, I would call it out here. First and foremost requirement is that each of the machine should be able to communicate each other. For example, right, in this case, if you consider like Will is also joining from a laptop and I was also joining from laptop and I'm also joining from laptop, right? Even though if you give your IP address from your machine, if I try to do a ping command, right, I'll not be able to reach on to your server because there is not a direct connectivity between my machine to your machine doesn't exist unless until if you have a static IP address, right? It's not possible to reach out, or you need to expose the your computer port to the external world, which also can be creating quite a confusion here. But unless until if there is a direct connection exists between node multiple node, the cluster setup is not even possible. So the first and foremost requirement is to have the connectivity here. Second most requirement is to make sure that you have the same version of Elasticsearch running on node 1 and node 2. So if you are running like a 9.2 or whichever version, it has to be identically same. There is a reason for you might be asking like why is it not possible to use a different version. So in Java there is a concept of something called Java serialization, which is nothing but like if you try to construct an object here, right, that object would be communicating in certain protocol like how the data can exchange, etc., object to stream and stream to object. So depending upon what version they operate, right, this serialization protocol will be slightly different. So that is also one of the reason why you have to make sure that you have the same what we call Elasticsearch running between both of the machine. And the next important part you need to take care of the setup is on like not only on the thing. Next, you have to make sure that the operating system is also almost similar. You cannot run from a Windows and to a Linux. At least if you are running from a Linux machine, try to make sure that both of them are running in a same Linux machine. That is the requirement number two. Requirement number three. Requirement number four would be like to make sure the Elasticsearch node, right, the performance is almost identical. If you're having one machine with a super performance, so there are like different grades of nodes in Elasticsearch, which we'll discuss later. But yeah, if you are having multiple node of same category, let's say you have data node and master node, right? Make sure the configuration is staying identical across the node type here, or else you're gonna have a lot of problems in using it. So it's very important to make sure that you try to make sure the version is all identical. Now let's try to document the IP. Okay, IP configs for Windows. I usually get confused. Now this IP address of the machine is actually connected to the Wi-Fi actually. So it's 198.168.0.1. Let me copy and let me have it in simple doc over here. Node 1. One second. So node 1. So this is the IP address, and the Elasticsearch what we are running in this machine is CD data ELK 9.2.4, yeah, Elastic. So the version is 9.2.4. So this is the version we are into it, Now I have started another machine, my other machine. I am not actually joined to the network, but I'll just try to ping you directly from the command prompt. I'll show you whether I have access to the machine. Once we are into that machine, we will try it out. I'm gonna try Ubuntu. One second. It's logging in that other machine. I'm also using Windows subsystem for Linux in another machine, what I have. So I'm gonna type if config type config. This is a command we type. So to app install NetTools. So let's call mostly the last part only will be differing 192.168.0 dot. Let me find the exact IP now. Yeah. So I got the IP address now. It says that it's completely in a different subnet. But it's in Ubuntu IP config. 172. Why it is showing a different one in that machine? Am I looking at different? INET address. This is the INET address here. This is the IP address, and let me also join from that other machine as well so that I can show you what I'm trying to do. Or else it might be boring for you guys. Let me join the meeting from the other call as well. I'm having the Ubuntu machine available over here. So this is a Ubuntu machine, and let's collect the IP address here. It says that 172.247.80. So we'll try to see if you're able to hit the IP address which we had earlier. So I'm gonna do a ping 192.168.0.11. I'm able to ping it. If I want to wish to call to that machine directly, right? As such, what is the name of the machine? Should be Jarvis, I believe. So it is Harinath Jarvis. Harinath at 192.168.0.11. Yes. Mhm. Wait a second. It is not logging in. The IP address looks correct. 0.11. Let me see if I can hit Jarvis directly. Okay, connection 22 is actually getting refused. I need to open up the firewall. One second. Allow SSH access. Check username unknown from 0.9. 192.168.0. Two more authentication failure. 0.9. Okay, I can ping 192.168.0.9. I'll see if I can log into the system. Also, I have to make the server to be remotely accessible. Sudo app. Once you have properly established all the network connectivity between these two machines, the rest of the operations are like much simpler. Only the majority of the hiccups like people face is the connectivity between these two machines.
Sorry, so have you found out, were you able to successfully connect the two machines?
Sorry, come again, Adeo.
Are you installing something or what are you downloading right now?
I'm just installing the SSH server basically. I'm not installing anything new. I just want to see if I access the node one which we saw the mission what I was sharing earlier, right? I'm able to access it. I'm just trying to see here. I'm just trying the SSH software, nothing fancy. Is if you type
Okay,
SSH like to it, right? You need to install the software for the very first time. The client will
okay,
be there. If you want your server to be also accessible, you need to install this piece of software. The
okay.
SSH arena at 192.168.0.11. Invalid user from port number. Let me see if I can hit the machine. SH Harinath at Hari at 192.168.0.9. Or we need to check the IP address of this Windows machine. Where is the 192 default gateway? Is actually this is the default gateway 0.1, and the IP address why it's actually saying 172.23. Let me try the IP address. 172.23.240.1. Let me check the property here. If it is a proper Linux machine, then it should work out of the box. Just because that we are having Windows and having subsystem, right? Windows will have a IP address and the other system will also have a different IP address. So you have to be slightly careful around that point. Change adapter settings. Right through the computer. Yeah, now it says comes up properly. You see 198.168.0.9. It was not bridging properly. Now at least we should be able to break it. Now let's see ping 10.192.168.0.11. If I start to ping, I'm able to get a response here. Likewise, in that mission as well, I'll try to ping and see whether I'm able to reach the machine. Ping 192.168.0.9. I'm able to get a ping from both the machine now. Now I'll try to see if I can do a SSH to the machine. Harinath at 192.168.0.11. Now the password is point. Actually, skipping the password is what is making fun. Now the password has to be if you have to do SSH, it has to get connected. But for some reason, it is not allowing that connection to happen. Only then the connectivity is like is properly been established, or else still we are behind some sort of a firewall or a permission setting here. So this how you are if you are starting from scratch, right? You might also go through all the permission errors to make the connection properly. Let me close it and open the Ubuntu once again. It says 192.1. You have to change this IP address as well. So there is a special property you need to go and do. Access the next machine. Windows. You have installed the software. This is all being taken care. Arena that Jarvis. Net address. Podcast. Oh, my bad. I was having my computer name is Arinath K, not K. That's the problem. Simple problem got it to mess up the whole thing. C.0.11. This is a problem, guys. I used to have the initial to it. I was not able to catch hold of it properly. Now I have like two machine here. Harinath at Jarvis is the machine one, and I'm also opening up a Linux terminal over here separately. Let me duplicate it. Let me open a Control Shift here. So we have two machines here. So this machine, if I type if config, and if you see the IP address here, 192.168.0.1. If I type the same command here, we are having 172.23.0.80. But if we go to Windows, right, Windows would be saying that, hey, my IP address is different here. If I say IP config here, it's going to say the IP address 192.168.0.9. So they have a virtual bridge between this and that. That's the only reason here. But now you're able to see, right? We're able to connect from this machine to the remote server without any sort of a problem here. Now we have established the connection. Now we are able to make a sync. You are clear, right? We are actually accessing two different machines in a same folder over here. Any questions? I'm gonna say node 1. I'm gonna rename this to node 2. Just in case if you want, I don't want to confuse here. And this is a Windows shell. So we have node 1, node 2, and the Windows and node 2 are kind of the same. So we have all the things available here. Now very quickly we will download the Elasticsearch here. If I'll quickly show you how do we get the Elasticsearch very quickly. Elasticsearch download 9.2.4. Go here. By default, it will show you Windows platform, but I'm wanting to choose a Linux to start with here. I'm choosing x64-bit. I have to copy the link. Once the link has been copied, I'm going to the parent location and type wget with the equivalent of download. And once I hit onto it, it's gonna download the Elasticsearch package in this machine. So it's gonna download the package, and after the package is been downloaded, we need to unzip it. After unzipping it, if you want to start the Elasticsearch, right, we just have to type bin slash Elasticsearch. That is all we need to care about. The rest of things are like are taken care. Let it download. All the steps like what we saw earlier to Elasticsearch, right? Like all the installation or how do we set the access password, everything is almost like 70 to 80% is identical. Rest 20% is what we need to mention. Hey, which are the machines need to speak to each other, and how these two machines tend to communicate, etc. Is the only thing you need to exchange between the computer. Once it's all been exchanged, we should be able to interact with the system way easily. Let it download. Any question in meantime, guys? Like any questions, like whatever we have did till this point, any questions?
Yes.
So basically, oh, sorry, guys, go
You
ahead.
go
Bro.
ahead. You go ahead.
So basically, you you need to make sure like both machines are on the same network or they can talk to each other, right?
Yes.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it's Windows or Linux, right?
Yeah, that is matter. That's matter. But it has to be within network, because
It has to be
only if it
within.
is within network, right, you will be able to communicate. If it's outside the network, you are a different, let's say from a mission point, right? You are a different entity. I'm a different entity. I don't have any relationship or way to reach out. You think about a mobile phone, right? Only there's
Yeah.
a network exists. I can speak with anybody. If there's no network, right? Then only
Hmm.
God can save us. Very simple, simpler fashion. If if you want to create a cluster, then whatever node you are planning, it has to speak to each other. If it's not able to speak, nothing can be done.
Okay.
What is the question, Will?
So, in our own situation, where do we get a second machine to be able to put this together, or do we just watch you as you go along?
You're asking whether if you also have another machine, whether you're able to try it on your own, or what is the question? Can you come again, Will?
Yeah. So, how do we get a second machine to be able to set up this connection?
If you have any spare laptop in your home or a secondary machine, that is the easiest way without having any sort of dependencies or whatnot. Well, or else the only other way is to use your office network or office dev instance or something, right? Usually if you work with the IT team, they can provision you, hey, I want to work with Elasticsearch, want to learn something. They usually provision it very short time. They will have a virtual box or something, their VMware kind of a thing, which they can provision you very shortly. Once the activity is all done, you can destroy it. That's route number two. If it is not possible, then the only option you will have is to go and create a sample account in Amazon Amazon, which you have to go and tie your to credit card. They'll give you a credit like $100 or $200 credit. Then you can create two Elastics two node EC2 instance. then you can spin up the instance and you should be able to work on it well. This is the only three possible ways. Do any chance you have any spare laptop in your home, Will? It's all been completed and we are able to have the package here. Now I'm going into the Elasticsearch folder and now I'm gonna do cd elastic, which I'm there, config. I'm gonna say no Elasticsearch IML. Here I need to give the name of my cluster. So here in this case, I'm gonna say my application is what the cluster name. I'm not modifying anything here. And this is a node 2 in by our definition. Node 2, and you have to go and mention the network host. What is the IP address in which this computer has been available? So as per our definition, we should be able to get this on the default IP. Will come there. 192.168.0.11, and this is 9, I believe. What is this? 11 is the node 1, and let's quickly check it out. What is the IP address of that machine? Zero 09. Now it is asking like which one of the machine you wanted to set as a master node here. In my case, I want to set node 1 to be master, node to be like assistant to it. So this is all I care. I'm gonna save this file, save it. Now I'm going to the other machine. This is node machine. I want to go to the folder where Elasticsearch is located. Here as well, I need to make sure that properties are looking very much same. This is node 2, right? This is node 2, this is node 1. I'm giving IP address as a machine. The initial master is node 1. They're asking user and password. This all looks good. HTTP. Okay, I'm going to save this file. So in both of these files, right, we have actually made the cluster name it to be identical, because only if the cluster names are identical, both machines will tend to speak with each other. That's first one. Second one, I'm given a name, unique name for each of my node. Even if you give node 1, node 1 and 2 machine rights, still it will work, but it is not advised to do so. Reason is, when you have any sort of Elasticsearch logging, etc., happen, right? If it's so that hey, it's actually having a problem on node 1, you will not exactly will know if you have duplicated the node name. So it's always a good practice to make sure that node 2 machines are having of a same name, or else it will be figuring out or troubleshooting will become super hard. Then the next important thing is something called seed host. Seed host basically gives you a discovery when my Elasticsearch is getting started. What are the different machines I need to look for and want to make sure that I want to trust these IP address. Any connection comes from this machine, I'm acknowledging for the fact that is actually all correct. That is the reason about we have the discovery seed host. And then the initial master node is defining like who wants to be master, because master election has to happen in any no matter what. So we need to choose who's going to be the master in both the machine. Once a master selection is all done, the rest of things are like just we wanted to start it up. Now we'll start Elasticsearch in the machine. It might throw some exception, but we'll kickstart anyways. I'm starting Elasticsearch in node 1. Let it run. It's gonna take like see, right, it says the initial cluster node, it says line number 109. That's a file number.
So after installing for the cluster, do we need to install Elasticsearch just on one node?
Both the machines. You have to install Elasticsearch in both the machines.
Then how
So
how you tell which
exactly.
one is the master?
I'm mentioning the which one has to be master directly in this line. If you see the master election here, right, where is that line? In this line, I'm saying that you are the one who's supposed to be master here. You see?
Yeah.
So this is where I'm mentioning who's going to become master for this node. Any question to you?
No. Sorry, William.
Yeah. Any questions
Yeah.
from your end, Will?
Yes. So if you have Elasticsearch installed on the two servers, how does the data sync with one another?
Okay. So there is a, we will go there. There is a, we when we wanted to understand once the installation is all done, right? So next we will be quickly touch basing about the different nodes, but I'll just take you about the nodes very just to give a super view. Nodes in Elasticsearch. So there are like multiple types of nodes there. You have master node, you have something called data node, worker node, etc. The first node is something called master eligible node. So on the master eligible node, for example, out of 100 people there, right? If only if people are above 18, there are only 25 people. Then the maximum of people who can be elected to election, or it could be maximum of 75, which are 25. So that is something called master eligible here. Data node, on the other hand, is actually giving you an indication like where exactly the data has to be stored. If you take like 10,000 worth of data, they don't store elsewhere. They actually get stored in the main location, or like where the data is actually located. Then we have something called coordinating node. Coordinating node is a more from a simple perspective, where exactly how I want to communicate, etc. For example, if we have let's think about a classroom or class representative, right? Class representative exactly will know which classroom the given session is being taken. So the coordinator node and exam the class leader are kind of the same. He'll exactly know where has to data is present and what kind of data is actually these two machines hold, etc. Right? That will be available in the coordinating node. And the last but not the least, we have something called ingest node. If you like to pre-process something, but people generally don't use ingest node very often because they use any third parties to get it done. But you can actually skip all the way to the ingest node. But these are the important things you need to think from a production standpoint, Will and Leo. So rest of things, if your connection is anything right, rest of things are like pretty straightforward.